So yesterday, an ACC executive, a high ACC executive, Michael Strickland, he is the Senior Associate Commissioner of Football, was actually asked about this, or not yesterday, but last week at ACC Media Days. And here's what he said. He said, Mike, quote, our job is to try to find ways to maximize opportunities for each individual school and at the same time work for the collective good of the ACC. Apparently, they sent an email to Clemson saying that they were disappointed that they refused to move the game to Friday, but that they had quote unquote secured various scheduling concessions for the Tigers if they would agree to do it. Remember, Carolina was open to doing this. Clemson was not. And Dabo Swinney's reasoning, and I thought it was a good one, by the way, was it's I don't know, I got a lot of blue collar, hardworking people in my fan base, and I want them to be able to come to a football game on a Saturday, not take their Friday after Thanksgiving. Some might be working, some might not be. I want this game to be here for them on a Saturday. Maybe that's his reasoning. Is it true? You'd have to ask Dabo, but I believe it. But apparently this isn't over, and they're continuing to pursue things. So what I did, Mike, I went and looked back at the ratings from Thanksgiving weekend last year. And aside from Michigan and Ohio State, which 12.3 million is what they had from a viewership standpoint at noon on that Saturday on Fox, here were the next four highest games, okay? Saturday night, 7:30, ABC, A&M and Texas, almost 9.5 million, 9.45 million. So you're talking about Michigan, Ohio State, and Texas, aside from Notre Dame, maybe the three largest fan bases in the country. Would that be a fair statement with those three schools?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. At 7:30 on Friday night, Black Friday, 7:30 on Friday night on ABC, that was the third highest viewed game. Georgia Tech, 8.47 million. Would you make an argument that Georgia or Georgia Tech has the fifth or sixth largest fan base in college football?
Georgia, yes.
Maybe.
Georgia Tech, no.
No. All right.
Georgia Tech, not even close. Georgia Tech's not in the top 50.
Let me ask you another question. If you could replace Georgia and Georgia Tech on Friday night on ABC with Clemson and South Carolina, do you think that it's the fan bases? This is an honest question. Do you think that it's the fan bases that draw the viewership, or do you think that it's just the Friday night before Saturday, Black Friday evening on ABC, and people were just craving a good college football game?
Yeah, I speak from experience on this, doing some Friday night games, which even like lackluster games, incredible numbers. It is the time slot. It is absolutely. That's the time slot and the lack of competition and the craving for football, as you put it, for any game on a Friday night equals big time ratings.
Okay. And I can prove that, even though you can prove that too. But Auburn and Alabama played on ABC at 3:30 on Saturday afternoon, and it was 7.16 million. So 1.3 million less people watched maybe the best rivalry in the sport, aside from Ohio State and Michigan, than Georgia Tech. Now, I would venture a guess if you polled 10 people today and said they're at the same time, what do you want to watch, Georgia Tech or Auburn, Alabama? You get at least 9 that said, give me Auburn, Alabama, if they're not fans of either team.
Yeah, 9.9 out of 10.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're talking about the time slot. The next highest game at 3:30 on Friday on ABC, by the way, ABC is just destroying this whole thing, was the Egg Bowl. Behind that, at noon on Saturday on ABC, was Tennessee and Vanderbilt. NBC, Friday night, 7:30, 3.6 million, Nebraska and Iowa. And you have to go all the way down. Clemson and South Carolina averaged 2.4 million at noon on Saturday on ESPN. That is the first time ESPN pops up there. Everything else is network TV: Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS. So the question becomes, right? Clemson is now part of the ACC's revenue sharing distribution based on what, Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, great point to bring that up. Like literally their money depends on ratings. It's the only league that does this.
Right. So if we had to project today, Beamer is open to this. He has said that. He hadn't spoken on it in a while. But last year he said, well, we would have that conversation. He didn't shut it down. Clemson shut it down. Now that the model has changed, do you see maybe a different roadmap to where this game could end up being moved from a Saturday to a Friday?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do too.
Absolutely. And look, I totally respect those who say Friday is for me and my family. I'm not going to the game. Respectfully, I understand that. Respectfully, there's a lot of people that are in your boat, and I get it. You and I do this for a living. We certainly love family, but we sacrifice. So I can't tell you how many times for Thanksgiving, Easter, I've been on the road somewhere. The only day I've ever said I'm not working is Christmas. Right. Every other holiday, you don't get in this business because you just decide, I don't feel like working on a holiday. That's not my. You do. You work on a holiday. You work when we tell you to work. That's kind of the MO. But family is for most people. That is a major. Nobody's working on the day after Thanksgiving unless you're like really got a manual labor job of some kind or what have you. Most people on that Friday are it's a family day, and I get it and I respect it. So if you don't want it on a Friday, yeah, right, travel. If you don't want it on a Friday, I hear you. I respect that. The people involved that want this rivalry to grow to a more national thing, they know it's better on a Friday with less opposition, less clutter, and it'll be higher ratings, more exposure. Obviously, that helps in recruiting, that helps in everything. So that, I think, ultimately prevails, Jamie. I just think they look at it from a dollars and cents and ratings and everything else standpoint. And yes, they'll get some hate mail, and there'll be blowback on this if and when it happens. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's going to be a fan on playing a game like this on the day after Thanksgiving, but I certainly believe it's going to be looked at.
Yeah, I do too. I'm curious too what college football's plan is going to be with Thanksgiving games, because the NFL has added a game on Thanksgiving, so they're pretty much all day long, and you can't.
NFL is so greedy;
you just can't compete with it, right? Like there's nothing you can. Hell, I think the NFL might have a Black Friday game now. Did I see that wrong? Don't they have one on Prime or something like that?
They probably didn't. They have one last year on Friday. I can't remember.
They did. I'd have to go back and look, but
I'd have to go back and look, but I think they did too. I mean, the NFL is basically saying, "Oh, that's good. You got your little Thursday, Friday. That's cute. Hold my beer. We're coming into town, and we'll get triple the ratings."
3:00 on Friday afternoon this year. It's the Mike Ditka's Bears and the Eagles.
Yeah, which is actually not a bad game. It's the defending Super Bowl champions, but you can put a turd in the Punch Bowl game on, and it's still going to outrate whatever college matchup you come up with. That's just the NFL. But that being said, that doesn't mean you have to roll up in the fetal position and just say, well, if the NFL is going to be there, we can't be there. No, the NFL is not going anywhere, and they're going to continue. People thought Thursday football was going to die on the vine for the NFL. It hasn't. It's not going away. Is it a crappy product? Sometimes it is. It's not going away. So, by the way, the NFL also decided, hey, NBA, we'll take your Christmas game slots too. So,
which I'm fine with that. Go for it.
The NFL is like the honey badger. He just doesn't care. He's just going to eat everything in its path, and just that's what the NFL does. But to go back to your main point, and you presented it extremely well, that's what's at stake. Mm-hmm. Do you want to advance the rivalry in terms of exposure and have the ancillary benefits that come along with that? Or do you want to avoid all the blowback and just keep it on a Saturday and just say, hey, a couple million still pretty good, because it's never going to be it's never going to get the attention that Michigan, Ohio State does, that Auburn, Alabama does, and some of these other ones. The Egg Bowl, Mississippi, a small state with two programs that for the longest time have not competed for a lot. I realize Ole Miss is on a heater. That game became like an instant success nationally because of the time slot.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And all of a sudden, people are like, hey, Starkville's pretty cool. I like cowbells. Let's give this a shot. Because a lot of people, once the Thanksgiving meal has been eaten and is digesting, where's that recliner? Where's my beer? And where's the remote?
Right.
It's no longer like a family circle telling stories. For a lot of people, that is the tradition. Have a great feast, love on one another, and then turn on the game.